already have your Prince Charming and a gorgeous ring on your finger, but what next? I'm here to help you plan the vintage fairy tale wedding of your dreams. Hi, I'm Shani. I recently got married. I had the wedding of my dreams in May of 2026 and it's just incredible. I can't believe that season of my life is over, but before I say goodbye to my wedding era officially, I thought I'd do a video where I just talked over everything I learned in the process of planning my wedding. I am such a planning type person, so I really planned a lot of the wedding myself, and yeah, there was so much to it, so I thought I'd kind of go through the details of our wedding, what made it special, what I learned, and yeah, I hope this helps someone, and I just kind of wanted to put it all together. I have my little feather pen, my notes here. I also have some water here because this is a long list and we gotta get through it. We gotta stay hydrated. In all seriousness though, I am no professional and I don't claim to be or anything. I just want to share my own personal experience and share photos from my wedding and just all different sorts of tips. I'm just gonna go over what I wrote here, so if you see me looking down, that is why. But yeah, let's just get started. Tip number 1 is give yourself time to plan. We actually took 2 years to plan our wedding, and the reason that was is because we got engaged in the spring and we wanted a spring wedding, so we could either choose 1 year or even like a tiny bit less than 1 year or 2 years. And I am such a planner, I'm a perfectionist, and I knew I wanted to plan a lot of the wedding, and I didn't think a year would give me enough time just because we both work full time, we both have a lot of other things going on, and so we got engaged in May 2024 and we planned to have a May 2026 wedding, so it was roughly exactly pretty much 2 years. And that sounds like a long time, but time goes fast, and it really gave us enough time, or really gave us a lot of time to hand pick our vendors, take our time picking our vendors, picking the decorations, picking everything. It also helps financially because you can budget and take a little bit more time to go ahead and save for the wedding, so that also is a added benefit. I also loved using the Knot app. It is a free website and app that you can use, and the perk is you can put in your wedding date and it'll give you a checklist on what to do each month leading up to your wedding. So that was something super cool. We also used the Knot for our wedding website, so that was also super helpful. And it was just a really nice resource. Tip number 2, once you have your season and your date picked out, your colors and decor become more clear. So we wanted a spring wedding. Obviously the first step is to pick your venue and your date, your wedding date. I'm not gonna go into every little tiny step, so just know that, but we decided we wanted a spring wedding. So once we decided on May, we were like, okay, spring equals spring colors. And that also tells you what flowers are in bloom. So if you're going spring, then you kind of can think about the flowers. So the season and the date really help you pick what colors and decor you want to do. And so we actually went with our favorite colors for the wedding. So my favorite color is light pink, if you can't tell by my little butterfly clip and my shirt here, but I love light pink. And so I knew I wanted light pink, and then Randy's favorite color is green. So we went with more of a sage green for our colors. So light pink, sage green, and a white, I would say, with touches of gold were more so our colors. And so for flowers, we chose in that color palette. So light pink roses, white peonies, and eucalyptus is what we decided on. And our flowers turned out beautiful. Pinterest really helps you visualize and create your vision for what you are looking for your wedding, and you can use Pinterest as a tool for visualizing, but just know you don't need to do all these extravagant crazy things that are on Pinterest. But I do like Pinterest for helping you kind of figure out the color palette and and other inspiration as well. But knowing your color palette helps with other details like your stationery. So I wanted to include some pictures of the stationery we did just because I realized I never shared that on here. So for save the dates, I really like, and now you don't even have to do a save the date. That's one way to save money, is not doing a save the date. But I do like doing the save the date, and I really like when you do one where it includes the couple, like a photo of the couple. And so we picked a photo from our engagement photo shoot, one of our favorite photos from that day from our engagement. To save money, you could also do a digital invitation, and we actually did a digital invitation for our rehearsal dinner, but for the save the date and for the wedding invitation, we did that like a physical one where we sent it, but just know you can do a digital one to save money. Or you can make the invitation yourself if you are crafty and artistic. I definitely am not that crafty, so I didn't do that. But I did save on our wedding invitations because I did buy them on Cyber Monday, and I saved, I think it was, I got 50% off, which is crazy. So you can definitely find deals and promotions during different times like that, like Cyber Monday. Back to our save the date, it was very fairy tale themed with the castle in the background and the pretty font and the photo. So definitely, I feel like the font makes a big difference of like, just you'll see with the pictures I include, but I really love that type of font. Our wedding invitation was white, pink, and green with a touch of gold, which is kind of our colors. And it had that vintage fairy tale vibe with the pillars and the roses. And my bridal shower invitation was matching the tea party theme, so it was floral and girly. So you can do a lot with the stationery of kind of portraying the vibe you want for your wedding. If you're interested in learning about my bridal shower or tea party, I do have 2 videos on my channel about it. I actually have a whole wedding playlist. If you are interested, I will link it down below just so you can check those out, all of my wedding related videos. But let's go to number 3, which is determine what aspects of the wedding are most important to you and your partner. Randy and I both said that the venue was at the top of our list. We really wanted a great venue. Also, for me, a great photographer and videographer was very important. But also good food and a good DJ was also up there for us. But determining those things are really important, and what I would say is to allocate more of the budget to those categories and spend less on the other things that don't matter as much to you both. Number 4 is hire a day of coordinator if possible. So this just helps you relax so much more on the wedding day. We were able to hire a day of coordinator. Our venue actually required it, which was interesting, but I kind of understand why, just so that it can just run really smoothly. It allowed me to be more present on the day of, having someone who knew all the details, who was dealing with all the vendors. None of that had to fall on me, which was really helpful and great. So I really planned a lot of it, but the day of, she totally helped. Our coordinator, Beverly, from Custom Love, was so amazing. It really helped having someone there familiar with the venue, familiar with what size tablecloths I needed, all of those types of things. I also recommend Jamie Wolfer on YouTube. She is amazing, and I watched a lot of her videos, and I honestly still follow her because she's just really entertaining and I really enjoy her content. She has a lot of tips, so definitely check her out. Number 5, wear whatever makes you feel like a princess. First, find your dream dress. So for the princess look, I went with a strapless sweetheart neckline ball gown with tons of sparkles. It is actually the Maddie Lane Pandora dress. It's raining, so hopefully you can't hear that too much, but let me read the description of my dress because I just love it. Inspired by late night adventures on Tuscan streets, Pandora is the wedding dress for the bride looking for princess style, grace, and elegance. She features a strapless illusion bodice and full circle skirt, finishing with a grand illusion train. It's all about her statement details with motif lace along her bodice and skirt adorned with sequins and beads for extra sparkle. I love that description. I think that's so amazing, and oh, I just love my dress. I'm definitely going to insert photos here, but you want a dress that really makes you so happy and makes you feel so beautiful. When I found my dress, I didn't have the crying moment that they show in Say Yes to the Dress where you're just like crying and oh my gosh, but I knew it was the one when I didn't want to take it off. I was just like, I just wanted to continue wearing it and stay in it. Like I was sad to take it off, and that's when I knew it was the one. One tip I have is to pick a off the rack dress if you can, or ask about it. Off the rack is just a dress that they had for people to try on, and I didn't care that people tried it on. It looked like it was in great condition still, and I saved $1,000 just by doing this. So definitely ask if it's available to buy just the exact one you tried on, if you don't see anything wrong with it and it's similar to your size. I love pearls, so I had a lot of different pearl details. I didn't have pearl details in my dress, but I found a really long, beautiful veil. They call it cathedral veil. And I loved that it had scattered pearls, so it was less pearls at the top and then more pearls scattered throughout the bottom, and that was super beautiful. I absolutely loved my veil. I wore a tiara with gems and pearls, and I got that on Etsy. I actually got a lot of things on Etsy, but I loved the tiara. I knew for a long time that I wanted to wear a tiara, and I'm so glad I did. It's not something that I knew many people in my life have done. For the Princess Fairytale look, I knew I had to wear a tiara. It just was something I wanted to do. I got custom ballerina shoes from Etsy, and they were so stunning. You couldn't even see them because I had a large ball gown, but I have some like detail photos of them from the photographer that I love. And they were just so pretty and comfortable, and I loved how they tied and everything. The morning of the wedding, I wore a vintage nightgown and a vintage robe that I already had in my vintage collection, but it really helped with the vintage look of things. I feel like it just made me feel comfy, but also myself. Like that's really what's important, is wearing what makes you feel like yourself. And for example, I bought new earrings for the wedding that I was gonna wear, and they didn't feel like me, so I just wore my little tiny stud pearls that I always wear, literally from Kohl's. I think they're from Kohl's. They're like nothing crazy, and that's what I wore on my wedding day because that's what feels like me. So it doesn't have to be crazy expensive or anything. I did spend for certain things. I definitely did spend some money, but I feel like earrings and certain things, I just did what felt right and I didn't go crazy with every single detail, is what I'm trying to say. It's more about what makes you feel happy and like yourself. I had a hairstylist do old Hollywood waves, and I absolutely loved how they turned out. I just think it was very like glam and a little bit old-fashioned. I wanted it to be old-fashioned, so I feel like all of these details were kind of vintage inspired. Like my dress wasn't vintage. A lot of it was not actually vintage, but it was very vintage inspired, and I kind of just did vintage inspired elements but put my own spin on it. Number 6, if it aligns, have someone special be your officiant. Now this is only if it aligns, obviously, but my brother was our officiant, and it really was so special having him in that role. And I don't know, it was just such a great part of the day. And then I also did a first look with my dad, and I was very intentional with dancing with my mom for a certain song we loved. And I played my dad's song that he wrote and performed for my mom on their wedding day as the first slow dance song, so that was a super special moment. And of course we did the traditional parent dances of father-daughter dance and mother-son dance, and those were so special. So just honoring and including those you love make your day all the more special. Number 7, go deep with the wedding tasks that you feel most passionate about. So if you aren't passionate about it, I would say don't DIY it if you can help it. So that might be a hot take, but I think DIYing doesn't always save you money if it takes a ton of time and resources and money to do it yourself. Then I don't think it's worth it. So it just remember how much time and effort some of these DIYs can take. So if you're crafty and passionate about it, I say go for it. For example, I could have DIY'd our wedding sign, but that was something that was stressing me out. I was like, I don't think I can do it, so I custom ordered it on Etsy. But there were things I was passionate about, so I was very passionate about curating the song list and creating curated vintage centerpieces, which I will get into. But also we were passionate about our first dance song, so we did a custom song with Jordy Searcy. I'm gonna have a video coming out about this custom song that we did for our first dance, but that is something we did. And then Randy, my dad, Dave, and I co-wrote the lyrics for the song, which was also super special. So there were certain projects, certain things I really was passionate about and wanted to spend a lot of my time on. And then there were things that instead of DIYing, I just ordered so I didn't have to worry about it. Number 8, save money where you can. We did fake flowers for the bridesmaids bouquets to save money, and instead of flower centerpieces, I did vintage items as centerpieces to avoid a bigger floral bill, because floral, you will see, is shocking how expensive it can be. I understand why, but still. So the vintage items I used for the centerpieces were vintage books, teacups, knickknacks, mirrored trays, and all of the things I either had or thrifted and antiqued. And this vintage centerpiece project of mine turned out to be one of my most favorite details of the day. I had so much fun gathering the items and then figuring out how I wanted to display it. But if you want to do something like that, I do recommend trying to buy things that you will actually use or enjoy after the wedding. So books you want to actually read or decor items you actually want for your house, and you can thrift things for really affordable. And yeah, I just really enjoyed that. And I still have the items from that I love, and flowers die, so I feel like it was smart because now I have things that I actually love and I saved a lot of money. We ended up doing an open bar, but ways you can save money there is only doing beer and wine or having the bar open only certain hours and not the full length of the reception. Number 9, have all the details that feel most like you and your partner. So Randy and I love castles and mountains. That's two things we love. And so for the engagement, he proposed in front of a castle. So that was kind of the castle theme and photo shoot and everything. And then for our wedding, we love the Smoky Mountains, and we decided to have our wedding in the Smoky Mountains just because that's something that is really a part of Randy and I's story. And we just thought we really wanted to share that love of the mountains that we have with our guests and have them experience it as well. We did a memory table of photo frames of our grandparents and our parents on their wedding day, and that was a detail I really loved, one of my favorite details. And some of our grandparents have passed or they weren't able to be with us that day, and so it just really felt like they were still with us on our wedding day. So I really loved that. We love swans, so we had a swan cake topper and a custom swan embroidered guest book. We love vintage style, so we got a vintage cake topper that we put on display on a bookshelf we rented. We had a vintage style phone audio guest book, so our guests could leave us a message and it records what message they leave. And that was something so fun after the wedding to listen to what our guests said to us on the audio guest book. It started out as a joke between Randy and I that he should wear a top hat in some of our wedding photos, and then last minute we decided to actually buy one. And I love the photos of Randy in his top hat, and so he had his top hat in some of the photos, and throughout the night he had it, and it was just such a fun detail, and it was very vintage, very us. Like, it just was very us to have me in the tiara, him in the top hat. It was just an awesome detail, and I just love the photos of him in the top hat. I think it was so fun, and I love that it started out as a joke, but then we kind of went with it. Randy and I both customized our wedding bands, and it's also a cute idea to have an element of your ring match your partner's, whether that's getting something engraved on the ring. We didn't do that, but that's an idea. Or like Randy and I, we both have rose gold rings, so just the fact that our rings are kind of matching in that way. But really avoid paying attention to what's trending or what's timeless. I don't think you'll look back and regret it if it's something you love and that feels like you and your partner right now. I really don't think you'll regret it. So definitely do what feels right for you. Have the details that feel most like you and your partner, like I said. But so many things I got on Etsy, like our personalized vow books. You can also use what you have. Like I used my vintage typewriter as a prop, and I included our order of events schedule sticking out of the typewriter, which I just loved that detail as well, and that was something I already had. And I also brought a vintage compact that I had and a vintage mirror that I had for props and details. We didn't print out order of events for everyone to have. We just had the one order of events out, in the typewriter. And I'm kind of really glad we did that because we ended up changing the schedule last minute because of the supposed rain, and luckily it didn't rain during the ceremony. But if you're debating on should I have a program or not, you don't need programs. You can do what I did, like just having a little order of events for guests to look at, but not for everyone to have because the schedule turned out changing anyways. So just that's a little tip as well. Number 10, you do not have to follow tradition. So do what feels right for you. Randy and I were going to spend the night before the wedding separately, but last minute we decided to be together instead, just because I felt like I would sleep better next to him, and I realized I was only doing the whole him not being with me the night before just because it was tradition. But I decided to throw that out the window, and I'm really glad because the morning of our wedding we woke up early and we watched the sunrise over the mountains, and it was one of my favorite memories of the day, just being with him alone, looking at the mountains and just being like, oh my god, we're getting married today. Like, it was just really special, and I would not have had that moment if I just went off of tradition. We also did a first look before the ceremony, and I'm really glad we did this. We did this so that we could get photos done beforehand and be able to spend as much time during the cocktail hour with our guests as possible. And that's another thing we did that's maybe not traditional. And then during the ceremony, after Randy read his vows, I was so touched by his words that I kissed him early. So technically I should not have kissed him early, and yeah, some people were like, hey, you kissed him too soon. But it was such a cute moment and everyone was laughing, and so anyways, I may have kissed him too soon, and we may have done other things that weren't tradition, but it's your day, and so you'll be happy you did kind of what felt right to both of you. Weddings are meant to be made your own, no matter what tradition says. 11, along with the last one, you don't have to follow tradition, but it is important to consider your guests and their experience. Randy and I don't drink, really, but we had an open bar because a lot of our guests like to drink. Randy and I don't like cake, but our guests do, so we had a 2-tier cake. The cake wasn't really for us, but it ended up being one of my favorite details because I loved how it turned out with the flowers and the swan cake topper looking like the frosting. I didn't even plan that, but the cake topper kind of just blended beautifully into the cake, and that was super awesome. And some other examples of considering your guests and their experience is I tried to choose a bridesmaid dress that my girls could wear again, And I loved how they could personalize the dress in a way. So it was the Birdie Gray Grace chiffon dress, and they all wore the Dusty Rose color. So they all had the same shade, the same color, but they could tie the top in many different ways. So it was super cool to see how they wanted to personalize it and wear it different ways. This is kind of random, but I wanted to tell you what eyeshadow I'm wearing today because I think it turned out really nice. I'm wearing the new Focus eyeshadow palette from Thrive Cosmetics, and it's just this cute little quad, and it has super pretty like smoky eyeshadow shades, and I used all 4 shades today, and I really like how it turned out. Anyways, let's get back to what I was saying. Also, I didn't gift any of my bridesmaids any gifts that say bridesmaid on it, because once you're done being a bridesmaid, what do you do with those types of gifts? So I tried to think about things that they would actually use in the future. And the groomsmen wore light gray suits from Men's Warehouse, and we liked Men's Warehouse for renting suits because we had groomsmen in different states, and they have really nice policies where you can rent from any location and then return them at a different location in a different state. So that was very convenient. For the song list too, I picked songs that Randy and I love, but also I thought about our guests and what type of music they like, because you want them to dance, you want them to enjoy it as well. Number 12, sweet personalized gifts are the most appreciated. So even if it is just a card, a handwritten note to your guests or to your wedding party members, that is so special. So I wrote thank you cards to each of my bridesmaids, my parents, my grandma, Randy's mom, my brother, just so they could read it on the morning of the wedding and just so I could express my gratitude to them. And for the bridesmaids, I gifted them each personalized pajamas that they wore the morning of the wedding, and that was super fun, and they had their name on it. And then for the bridesmaids, our moms and my grandma, I gifted them a rose gold pearl bracelet, and we all wore that, including myself, on the wedding day. And so it was so fun to have that detail where we each matched each other, and it was just so special. Let me show you the bracelet while we're talking about it. My little pouch says Shannon Bride, and each of them had like a little pouch with their name and their role. Here is the bracelet. It's so pretty with the diamonds and the pearls. It's very sparkly in person. I love it. But yeah, and then Randy gifted the dads and the groomsmen personalized pocket watches, which went perfect with the vintage theme. It was just so cute. I absolutely loved their little personalized pocket watches. And for favors, you can stick with the theme. So for us, that is a vintage style wedding in the mountains. We technically did 2 favors. So first we had vintage style keys that served as a seating chart favor. So we had a sign that said, "Thank you for being a key part of our lives. Find the key to your seat," with the keys hanging on a stand in alphabetical order. The vintage keys went with the vintage theme, but they also are useful because they are bottle openers. We went to another wedding that had a travel theme where the seating chart favor was luggage tags. So that's another idea. I personally like a unique seating chart where it includes favors like that. Like, I think that's kind of fun. But also we had personalized coasters made with mountains on it from Etsy, and it had our names, our wedding date, but also the guest name at the top. So these not only served as a personalized favor for the guests to take home, but it served as a name card, so we didn't have to do separate name cards for where people would be seated. Number 13, if you can, make it more than one day of celebrating. So this one's kind of tough, but the wedding day does go by fast, so it was so special for us to have multiple days of celebrating. So most of our guests were traveling to the wedding, so they were staying in the area for multiple days, which was really nice. So we celebrated the day before the wedding with a rehearsal dinner. We had a family brunch with both sides of my family the day after the wedding that my aunt hosted at her cabin. and the cabin that she was staying at. And then we had dinner with Randy's family the day after too. So it just extended the fun, and the wedding magic just continued throughout the whole week or weekend. And so that was super fun. So if you can do a rehearsal dinner or just do another, even if it's really casual, you know, just to keep the celebrating going a couple days, it was so fun and special. 14, add little nods to your love story. So we picked our rehearsal dinner spot because the room we rented had bowling lanes for duck pin bowling, and Randy and I actually met while bowling, so that was such a full circle moment. We don't even love bowling or anything, but that's how we met. And so just to have a rehearsal dinner spot that people were bowling, doing the little duck pin bowling, it was just so special and sweet, and really just a really cute nod to our love story. I even printed out the photo of Randy and I bowling 8 years ago, the first time we really met, and I put that on a little sheet thanking everyone for coming, and it was just a cute little detail. I also made a slideshow of photos of Randy and I throughout the years, and I had that playing during our rehearsal dinner in the background. For the wedding, we did personalized public vows, inviting our guests into that intimate, special moment. Your wedding guests love you, so they want to hear more about your story. They want to see the little details that are unique to you and your partner, so including that is just so sweet. And number 15, it's totally okay to wait on taking a honeymoon. We decided to wait on a honeymoon for many reasons. We have a lot of weddings this year that require travel, so we wanted to wait for that reason, but also mentally and financially it is good to wait. I really needed rest after all the planning. After the wedding, I just wanted to chill at home for a bit. We did have a cabin weekend for the wedding, so that did feel like a little vacation. We don't know when or where our honeymoon will actually be, but it was something I wanted to take my time planning, and I had no room in my brain to be planning a wedding and a honeymoon. So I'm so glad that we are waiting on a honeymoon. And that was it. That is all of my tips that I have, all of the information I wanted to share in this video. But yeah, I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.